Hello and welcome back to another Reddit League matchcast. This time we are watching the other Division 1 semifinals, the first one having already been casted and gone up on the channel a few days ago, which was between Barry and M the Baseman, so make sure to watch that if you haven't already. And today we are taking a look at Bastel and Plouky, obviously going to be the same seed, so if you've seen the other matchup, you'll know the locations. But it still could be a very interesting game, and today I'm joined by Lunacy. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm doing good as well. Yeah, Bastel against Plouky, kind of Bastel's debut season. He's done a pretty good job, ended up with, I think it was 19 points in second place. And Plouky also, probably the more experienced player. He's been in Reddit League since season 3, I want to say, but let me actually look that up. And has been in the semi-final in the last season. It actually wait, has he only no, he's joined in season 4 into Division 2. Yep, that's how it worked. And he's been in the
Right, yeah.
semi-final final last season, and now he's there again.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting match for sure. And because like even though this is Bastel's first season in the Reddit League itself, and Pluki may have a bit more experience there, I believe that both players are pretty storied players, at least in the French community, with lots of experience and lots of community engagement going on.
Yeah, so let's see what's going to happen between the two of them. They'll play in AI generated world, as the semifinals always are, and also a kind of a good practice seat, I suppose, for whoever will end up making it to the final, as that again, as always, is going to be the third map of that. But for now, let's get started with round one now. And well, this could be fun.
Yeah, big shocker. It's a rural location on AI Gen.
Yeah, who could have known? Who could have expected that? But there does seem to be a sign there. Uh,
Yeah, Pluki has already found a sign with some text on it. Unfortunately, the angles are making it a little bit hard to read, but you can probably make out a few words there.
it does say
Um,
Noropota. Is that like a province somewhere, potentially?
Possibly, it also says Municipio de something, a little bit hard to see.
Yeah.
Um, there's a lot of ways you can get a sense, perhaps, that this might be Colombia. You do have the car with the stubby antenna. You do have this kind of like slightly mountainous, very jungly look. You got a lot of like wooden pole fences off to the side of the road. But I don't know if I've seen anything that outright says that this is Colombia. Although it actually might say that on the sign, we just can't read it closely
Maybe,
enough.
yeah. It's going to be a bit bigger on their screen, so you can assume that they will find that easier than us. I don't actually.
Yeah.
I looked away for a second. I don't know if Plukius found the state or what happened with him, as I think
Um,
now Bastel is checking for it too.
Yeah, I can't quite tell if the state is visible on the sign, but both Bastel and Pluki seem very, very confident in the general area where they are. Pluki only scanning in like a very particular small subsection of the place, and Bastel also like sort of, with his mouse circling an area, being like, yeah, I know it's here.
Oh, it's actually the other way around. It says something del norte del Huila, and Huila is the state. So there's sometime somewhere in the north of Huila. And then I'm
Got
assuming
it.
Noropita or whatever it is the town instead of the province slash state.
Ah, and it's yeah, Municipio de Tello, and it looks like Bastel
All
has
right.
that town already.
Yep. Nice find for him.
But they're clearly not in Tello right now.
Yep.
This is a mountain road, so there's still a bit of pinpointing for Bastel, which means that Pluki is not out of it yet.
Yeah. He's got 45 seconds to find wherever this
Oh,
might
never
be.
mind. Pluki found Tello ages ago and is just
Ah,
scanning around in the area for the
right,
right curve.
right.
Okay, Pluki has actually been the one ahead this whole time. My bad.
Yeah, it looks like with 30 seconds left, I don't think either of them is going to accomplish to pinpoint it exactly. So it's more so just about, can you try to get as close as possible to it? Can you maybe figure out whether you're north or south of the main road? Or I guess if you don't really know, then you're just going to leave it in Treo, I guess.
Right, yeah, the players are, well, some of them were at some point going north and south just to find more curves to figure out the area. But it looks like Pluki's going to plonk a bit further out of the city itself than Bastel, which means What does it mean?
Well, it
Oh, it
means
means
a 25
yeah.
point advantage for Plouky, who did manage to, I mean, pretty much find the right area. He was just one road off, a little bit, well, one road to the east. So a little bit of an advantage for him to start with, which you never know. I mean, AI generated world isn't really known for its easy seeds, but if it happens to be one, then that might already be a pretty significant advantage that he's got from round one.
Points are points, and you never know how things can shake down. Now, in the normal season, if two players came within 100 points of each other with their final score, they'd be tied. But if that happens during this semifinal, what happens, Calamity?
Well, if they come within 100 points, that depends on how close they come within 100 points. If they come to the exact same point, then we're going down to time. If it's just 20 points off, then, well, you're out of luck. It's every point that counts here.
Right, yeah, so there's less leeway than there would be for a normal season game. So, even if you lose a couple of points, surely you're feeling a little bit of pressure given that there was such a useful sign at the start of the round. For Bastel, I'm talking about, but maybe also for Plouky, because I don't know if Plouky knows how Bastel is played. Plouky could also be like, I didn't get the 5K. I'm in danger.
Yeah, we don't actually know who of the two played first. Maybe we'll see it at some point in the results screen at the end of a round. I just thought right now, when you mentioned about the draw range and stuff like that, it would be kind of funny if it was just like, okay, you're within 100 points. Well, that's a draw. You're gonna have to play another seed, and then just keep that going for 2 months. Just everyone's waiting for them to finally not get a draw. But no, that's thankfully not the way it works. As I think we're ready to go into round two, so let's get that started now. And I mean, that looks like it's going to provide the two of them with a lot more information than the last round.
Yeah, surprise, surprise. We are in an urban round, and not just that, there's tons of clues everywhere for what country this is, from the pedestrian signs to the language to I think there was even a domain TLD on a billboard. We're most likely in, I want to say Spain.
Yeah. And I say more information. I mean, they had enough information in the last round too, but more varied information, I suppose, which can make it more difficult in a way as well. Because in the last one, everything was clear. You had the sign. There was probably not much else to find, so you know what to do. In this one, you're just gonna have to make a lot of different decisions: what you look at, where you go, and what you do with the information that you find.
Yeah, and that's what makes, I think, city rounds or urban rounds interesting, especially in rounds where there's lots of stimulus like this one. You really have to know how to distill all the information around you so that you can pick up on the ones that'll be most helpful for you. I think Plouky has found some helpful information here in that Plouky is on some railroad tracks, is next to some really big buildings like the IKEA, and also sees big water to the east. I don't know if Bastel has seen that, but if he has, it might give him an idea of where he is.
He's
But
seen
Bastel is
something.
also now.
Yeah, he's seen
Yeah,
something
yeah,
much more
he
useful.
is. Right, yeah, the Spanish TF road sign in Spain being one of those countries where the road numbers are incredibly helpful. Bastel knows that TF means that he is on Tenerife.
Yes, and Fluky has also seemed to maybe found something on that bus. I'm gonna assume no, it's not a bus; it's a tram, or like a train. Who knows? It's one of those. It moves, and apparently it mentioned Tenerife on it somewhere. So he's also now in the presumably right city. I mean, it looks big enough to be this one rather than any of the others on the island.
I mean, it's an island. Where else would the tram be moving? Um, but yeah, with the water to the east, with the mountains in that particular shape, and being that it's not the largest of islands, it should be pretty set that they're in this big metropolis in the northeast. And I can't actually remember the exact name of what this is. What this is
Yep,
called.
I worked around that too earlier. I think it's Santa Cruz de
Santa
Tenerife. Yeah,
Cruz. It's
okay.
Santa Cruz. Yeah, yeah.
All right.
My budget for vacations isn't big enough to be heading to Tenerife.
uh, and they seem to be struggling to pinpoint it exactly. They've got 20 seconds left. Bastel seems a little bit closer. He might be able to make it. Maybe not, actually. He seemed pretty sure about where he was. Maybe he's just trying
Quite
to...
surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised that this round is posing this much of a challenge because these are two really good players, but this is also a very large, sprawling city, and this isn't the easiest intersection to find. It's not the most notable.
Yep.
But we are going to end there with Bastel picking up 2 points against Plouky.
Yes.
And Plouky does see Bastel on the leaderboard, so we know Bastel
Okay.
played first, and Plouky knows he's ahead.
Okay, that's good to know. So yeah, but still kind of narrowing the gap from 25 to 23 points. But he's gonna have to pick up the pace a little bit because there's not more than 12 rounds remaining. But yeah, in total here, both of them managed to find the city with plenty of time remaining. Just couldn't pinpoint, but yeah, it was kind of up or down a few points here or there. So we'll see if it matters in the end. But assuming there'll be more difficult rounds to come, as we will get into round 3 right now.
Oh man,
And
speaking of
well,
more difficult rounds, yeah.
there we go. Might not come down to those 2 points after all, but who knows? As they
Yeah, well,
hit
they
the
are.
dead end in unison.
Oh man, maybe it's the French playerness. Um, the way they're differing now is that Pastel is just barreling down this road, trying to get to a main road as fast as possible. Pookie looking around a little bit, trying to find some clues here and there. But I think Pastel here had the approach that will be a bit more useful.
Yeah, and it didn't look like it from the first kind of images that we saw, but there is actually maybe not a huge city, but a fairly sizable town at least right here. And it does have at least a road name that will tell them the
It
correct state, if nothing else.
it does, yeah. CE 497, I think that's yeah. Also it does say Governo de Estado de
Yes.
Ceará. Tells them that they are in that state in northern Brazil. Plouky a couple seconds behind Bastel, but coming across the exact same sign will also be able to find out where in general they are. Is the name of the town on this sign at all?
I've been trying to read it, and I don't think it mentions it, no. But there are a couple of signs on the other side that may do. This doesn't
Yeah,
either.
that says Cara de Ponta a Ponta. That might be something, who knows? Keep that in mind, although maybe that means something in Portuguese. That is just like a geographical
Possibly.
term.
Okay, this also doesn't mention anything, so it doesn't seem to be there.
All
Bastel
right,
has kind of
so
given up on trying to look for it and is now trying to find any further information.
yeah, the question now is whether you want to just like go all in and try to find the 497 as well as a town that looks like the right one, or if you want to just like store this information away, be like, yeah, I haven't been able to find it yet. But I'm gonna look for more clues, like maybe there's gonna be a sign a couple meters down that's like, oh, this big town is this way, this big city is the other way.
Yeah, Bastel kind of just made it to the next point where he could see far down the road that Plouky is now at, and he's done the exact same thing there, which is look there, realize, okay, this doesn't look like there'll be any information within the next like 15, 20 seconds, so we'll go back to map scanning. Unsuccessfully at the moment. So we'll see. They've
Very
only got
interesting.
20
Yeah.
seconds left.
It's so entertaining to see the parallels in their behavior that are offset just slightly by the fact that Pluki was looking around a little bit at the buildings nearby while making his way into the slightly larger town from the very
Hmm.
rural beginning. But only 10 seconds left. Have either of them found the right town yet? I don't
Nope.
think so.
Neither of them have. And neither of them will, as Bastel gains about 340 points there, though. Plouky pretty much in the far south of the state, right next to the border. Let him zoom in. I don't think the CE497 actually shows up there. At least not
That,
if it's not right there.
yeah, I believe so. That is quite rough for both of them, really, because usually the Brazilian roads, like the state roads, are actually decently well marked.
Yeah, the thing I think that we could be having here is that the sign they found that information on was kind of one of those government kind of project signs. So they might be building that road there, and maybe it's not built yet. Who knows? Maybe they're like making it bigger. Maybe they scrapped the plans and just, you know, the road stayed as it was at the moment. Either way, it doesn't seem like they've made a big highway there. So not actually findable information there for the two of them. And yeah, but still kind of just hedging in the middle, actually slightly south of the center of the state. So if Pluki had just gone right in the middle, would have ended up closer here, but with his far south guess, I wonder if he found maybe like road names that were, or like road numbers that were close, and just kind of thought maybe it's somewhere around here.
That's always possible. That's that kind of behavior or that kind of like pattern of looking for roads with similar numbers to a number you found can be useful, but it's also tripped up some players this season so far, such as in the Division 4 AI Diverse AI World Seed. We won't dwell on that though. Instead, I think we'll move on.
Yeah, we'll move right on with round 4. Just before we do that, it's important, of course, now Bastel with that round has gained the lead. So it's Plouky who's trailing now and has to make up a few points as we get into round number 4 now. And well, this looks
All right.
pretty rural.
It does look rural. Once again, it feels rural, but perhaps with something's nearby. And I believe the players are heading in opposite directions, but what that does say is that that is in English and that is an American National Forest sign,
Yes,
I
the
believe.
Pike National Forest. Have you ever heard of it? Oh, it's right there.
Unfortunately, I have not. But yeah, very findable, looks like. Fluky already getting the correct forest. Let's see if he can line up the correct roads. Bastel, I believe, is heading in the opposite direction, so it
Yes.
was not able to find that really helpful sign that Pluki was able to find right off the bat.
Yeah, interesting thing there. It mentions the Pike and San Isabel National Forest. Could be. I mean, I doubt it would be a different forest entirely, but maybe just not the exact same thing as the Pike National Forest. I mean, I don't think they would have just kind of left out that San Isabel part of the name on the sign if it was actually like just the same thing.
It's possible. I mean, maybe they're two different national parks that sort of overlap a little bit, and that's why they show up as the same name on the map, or maybe it's just an entirely different park whatsoever. I mean, I would believe that this kind of foliage is in the general area that it says Pike National Park is on Pluki's map, but I could also believe that it's in other parts of the country too. Like, um, these kinds of trees, I feel like can show up in a lot of different places along the Pacific Northwest or a bit further inland as well in some park or forest areas.
Mm-hmm. And it looks like Bastel still has not turned around, I think. He's just continuously kind of gone that way. And well, he is no, never mind. He must have seen a sign that mentioned or has he? I'm not sure anymore. Because his pin
I'm not
is
100
in
yeah.
Colorado, like pretty close to where Pluky has his.
Okay, it's possible. It's possible. But is Bestel actually scanning in the right forest? I think he might be. I
Maybe.
can't quite tell.
I mean the where it says the forest is on the map isn't literally the only place where the forest exists. It obviously extends out from there, and it can sometimes be difficult to
That's
tell
true.
how far exactly
Yeah.
and where kind
The
of one
American
forest
Geoguessr
ends.
map. Yeah. The American Geoguessr map is sometimes at fault with that. Like it's really hard to tell the boundaries of things like forests or mountain ranges or even large cities.
Mm.
Um, but I don't think either player thinks that they have the exact pinpoint here because they're both still scanning around. And oh, look at that! Look at that!
I'm looking.
Bastel managing to get over 100 points closer than Pluki in that tough round.
Yeah, the Pike San Isabel National Forest apparently bigger than Pluki realized, and the location still about, I think it was 80 kilometers or so away from where his pin was. And again, with Pastel, kind of the way he was scanning the map and kind of moving his pin around, I don't actually think he did find the forest name at any point, because there were definitely stages where it showed up, the name of the national forest showed up big on his screen on the map. So I would assume that he would have placed his pin closer to there if he had spotted it. So if he hasn't, the big if there, because I apparently wasn't paying enough attention to know, then that was just a fantastic region guess from him.
Yeah, and that is a little bit sad for Pluki because there have been it's rare, but you know, you do get situations where finding some information that seems like it'd be incredibly helpful ends you up with a worse score than you would have had if you just either plonked or gone with fewer clues. I mean, I've been there before. It's a
Yep.
risk of the game, especially with stuff that isn't super well delineated, like national forest borders. But um, it is a bit of an unfortunate feeling to know that, oh, I could have just randomly dropped somewhere and been closer.
Yeah, that was me in Argentina during the regular season. Um,
Oh no.
so I can definitely relate. But yeah, that's another 100 points there for Bastel. So we're up to, I think, about 400 points now, separating the two of them. So Plouky will hope for a pretty difficult round to finish us off here. And Bastel will probably hope for just a round in the center of Paris, I'd imagine. As we'll get into the last round, round 5 now. And well, it's not the center of Paris, but at the same time, it doesn't look super difficult with some yellow signs right there. Do they say anything useful? Yes.
Looks like they do. We are in New Zealand, and not only are we in New Zealand, we're at an intersection with some very, very findable towns with some good distances between them. Um, I believe that if Bastel finds any of these towns, it's game over for Pookie.
Yeah.
Pookie right now has to hope that these like are either like old names for towns that no longer show up on the map or something like that.
Well, there are they.
Otherwise, it's gonna.
There they are. There's Lumsden and Riversdale. And he doesn't seem to have spotted them yet, so he'll keep his mares moving away from them. Bastel will do the same. They're on his map too.
There are a lot of cities in this area in this region.
Yeah, I remembered
Cool.
Lumsden when I played the seed because I literally had like around there. I think in a co-op game or something, like a couple weeks prior, and it's a good city to know down there because it doesn't stand out immediately, I guess, as you can see there, but a lot of signs will point towards it.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. It's impressive memory, and
How has
it
Bastel
is
found that
useful.
city first?
It happens, it happens. But yeah, it's good to know the names of towns or cities on like the extreme edges of places, just because those are the places that will hurt you the most if you just do a central hedge,
Yeah,
if you don't find it.
absolutely.
The thing is, I feel like Pookie here, despite knowing that Bastel is some points ahead of him, won't necessarily give up because even if you're at a pinpointable intersection, it's still possible that you don't find those towns because New Zealand is full of things.
Mm,
And if you don't, New Zealand is like deceptively big. It's big enough that you can lose a good number of points if you even go on the wrong side of the island. So I think Plukey's best shot is just to not give up, hope those cities are hard, and just find something that Bastel doesn't. Like that beautiful road sign here with the red national road and two big towns on it. I believe Gore is a really big city in
yep,
the southern
it
part of
is.
South Island.
The problem for Plouky is that Bastel just got 4,999 points. So, well, whatever he manages to do in that last round, as he's just looking along that road, there is Gore there on the southeast edge of his map. Um, it's not going to help him anymore at this stage, unfortunately.
Yeah, that is a bit of a shame. But Bastel not getting a 5K, but getting a large enough score that it just probably won't matter in the end. Pluki, I think, has done enough pinpointing that he is now satisfied that he's at the right intersection and is just lining things up.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, Bastel, we saw him find the towns early on. We saw him pinpointing. Pluki won't have known that. Pluki won't, I believe, won't know it now, but will know it soon.
Yes, if he does click on view summary, which he might do eventually, um, his video is, yeah, he will just give it a couple seconds. But yeah, that means Bastel will end up with 24,270 points, and Pluki unfortunately 23,834. So a deficit of about 436 points. And yeah, that unfortunately makes the second semifinal exit in a row for Plouky in Reddit League. But yeah, at the same time, congratulations to Bastel for making it to that final.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunate for Plouki, but the fact that Plouki is being so consistent with getting to the semifinals means that maybe next season it's going to be his turn. And many congratulations to Bastel from me as well. And time will tell what happens to Bastel in the finals.
Yeah, that will come to you probably sometime within the next week. As yeah, we hope you enjoyed watching. Thanks for doing so, and we'll see you guys again next time. Till then, bye.
See ya.